There's so many systems of oppression at play, but we can't expect people that don't have good roads, that don't have probably gas money, because gas is almost $4 a gallon, that probably work in a neighboring county, have to drive 25 minutes to the county that they live in. We can't expect them to vote 3 times in a 6 month to 9 month span. That's an uphill battle. We just had people vote in a primary in May. We have a runoff in June, a special primary in August, and then a general in November. I don't understand. I don't understand how we're expecting that to be conducive to democracy and encourage civic participation. We're not providing people with adequate information, but that's also because the system keeps changing the rules. The system keeps changing the players, the rules of the game, how we're going to go about this, and we're getting these last-minute decisions, and we have to last-minute educate and last-minute mobilize. That's not fair. It's unjust.
Alrighty, welcome back. Alabama Politics This Week. Josh Moon, David Person, and we are happy to have with us for, I believe, the second time in like a month, Makhayla DesRosiers is back with us.
Right.
And
Perfect.
Man, look at, listen, I try to tell David, when people come on, David, you've got to get their names right, okay? It just doesn't do to mispronounce guest names. And I take this seriously. Not all people do.
Right.
How are you, Makhayla?
And Makhayla, this time he's actually right, because I actually had to ask him, what is her last name again?
That is.
So he
got
it right.
That's not true.
He did.
You know that David is the professional here, and he's just dragging me along in this thing. Only one of us has awards in there. Was it Peabody? The Peabody Award. It's
DuPont Columbia. Just since we're counting, DuPont Columbia Award.
Yeah, Peabody Columbia.
Oh.
Listen, between David and I, we have a Peabody Columbia Award. Okay.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah, we share it. He keeps it at his house, but we share it.
Gotcha.
Right. Hey, listen. Let me tell you what I've heard. This is what I've heard from some people who are friends of mine, who are in the get out the vote game, who take great pride in helping folks get out the vote. And I know that's part of your responsibilities as well with the Southern Poverty Law Center. I have heard from them that while the Supreme Court decision, in which they again gutted what was basically remaining of the Voting Rights Act, while it was terrible and it was horrible and it's something that we have to fight to get back, it did do one thing, and that is inspire a whole lot of people to suddenly take into consideration that they need to get registered, they need to do something about this, and that they need to fight for their rights. Has that been your experience, and what's things been like since that Supreme Court decision?
So I see both sides of the coin. We have this influx of people that are like, I want to get educated, I want to get activated, I want to get immersed into this world now. And then we see the other side of the coin where folks are still disengaged, but they're disengaged because we're talking about voting rights from such a high level. It's like up here, Supreme Court, right? We're not talking about it like, hey, the reason why we're having to have a special primary election in August is because of this decision. The amount of people who are still confused about the special primary affecting the congressional districts, robust.
Right.
It is.
Yeah.
Like there, we had a runoff yesterday. We still had historically low turnout. So what is this missing piece that can serve as a catalyst for long-standing participation, right? We can't just have people only voting in presidential years, right? Presidential election years. So what are we doing as civil rights organizations, as GOTV efforts that is going to stick with people for years to come? That's been like the thematic question that we're posing to ourselves.
Right. I in talking to a lot of people who handle a lot of get out the vote stuff and historically have done so, what some people have suggested to me is that the one thing that you need to do is figure out an issue that is very relatable to people who are disengaged. And oftentimes that is something extremely trivial. It is the pothole in front of their house.
Mm-hmm.
It is, the school board member that they hate at their school. It is, whatever. It's something extremely personal and extremely trivial. But from your perspective, you're again at a higher level in this, because you're trying to traverse many different communities, many different thought processes and interests and special interests, and just different aspects of life in the state of Alabama. How do you hone down on that and get people to realize that they can fix a lot of these little problems themselves by being engaged, which in turn then fixes much larger problems at the national level?
Well, for starters, drawing a parallel, right? A lot of people think it's their congressional, representatives that have the direct immediate effect on that pothole, on their school system, on fair wages, right? And it's like, whoa, there's so many other seats and representatives before we even get to the federal level. Let us sit and just map it out, right? You got your municipal, then you got your county. There's so many other people. So when you educate folks on who those people are and when those meetings are held, where to find those meeting minutes, they're like, oh, this isn't some secret meeting. No, you are supposed to be here. It is your right to be here. And dare I say, it is your right to take those 2 minutes at those public hearings and to say, hey, we've had this pothole since my son was little, and I have grandkids that are, experiencing these things. And I think once people understand the implications of representatives not representing their constituency, I think that's what lights the fire of like, okay, well, if you're not going to do it, and I know the person that's also running is not going to do it, maybe I join the race and I do it. Maybe I represent the interests of the people that look like me, that talk like me, that have the same interests as me, because obviously all of these career people that have been doing this for such a long time are not going to do it.
Makhayla, I'm just looking at some figures here. Voter turnout nationally in 2024, according to Ballotpedia, was about 64%. Alabama was about 5 percentage points lower than that at 59%. But what I've noticed here, and I'll be honest with you, when I pulled this up while listening to you, I thought Alabama's probably going to be near the bottom. But here's the reality. Alabama actually, in terms of voter turnout in 2024, was higher than a lot of states. But the states that really seem to have what I would consider to be at least respectable voter turnouts, meaning they're like 70% and higher, they're all, as far as I can tell, they're all northern states. I mean, or northern or bluish purplish states like Colorado, for example, at 73%, Maine at 74%, Minnesota at 76%. In fact, Minnesota may have the highest voter turnout, just kind of skimming it, between Minnesota and Wisconsin. What do you think it is about, what explains this differential that we see between these either northern or bluish, purplish kinds of states and redder states like Alabama? What do you think explains that difference?
Okay. Reminder, I'm a 501c3 representative, so I'm not going to talk color in regards to blue, red,
Okay.
purple.
Okay.
I'm going to talk culture. The culture of voting in the Deep South is not muscle memory for other groups that are not Black. Am I making sense on that? Black folks,
Okay.
it's ingrained for us, elderly Black folks at that. You get out and you vote because people died on the Edmund Pettus for you to vote, period, right? There's more buy-in across racial demographics outside of the Deep South. White folks in Alabama are low propensity voters. They're not issue-based voters for the most part, from what I've seen in my time here. You talked about 2024. A lot of folks are going to vote in presidential years, and there's more buy-in across the nation for that period. For the down ballot races on off presidential years, folks are like, meh, across racial lines. But now what we're seeing is there's an influx in low propensity voters in age range. It's not race anymore. It's across age range.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's shifted.
So, okay.
Am I making
So,
sense?
no, I
Yes, you
think
are.
you are. In
Okay.
fact, that ties into an article I read just this morning. I think it was in the Alabama Reflector
Mm-hmm.
about how Greene County has the highest turnout in the state. And what the article talked about was the fact that you have in that county, small county, but small population. When I say small county, I don't mean geographically, I mean population wise. Um, but the concentration of voters there seem to be older and blacker, and some of the reasons that were cited go back to the history of voter disenfranchisement and the belief that people have to vote there. They have to vote because of the sacrifice and because of what historically has been at stake.
Yeah, the culture of voting, right? Like we here in Alabama are constantly reminded of the culture of voting and voter disenfranchisement because I'm not from Alabama, but I'm adopted by Alabama. I'm purged from the voting rolls and I've been voting here for 6 years. Have no reason to be
Wow.
purged, right? That is the
Wow.
culture of voter disenfranchisement. That is the culture of for lack of a better term, essentially just like stifling people's voices because there's all of these systems of oppression working together to push people out. We're talking about Greene County, rural Alabama, turning up and turning out when they've probably had so many of their polling precincts closed in the past maybe like 4 years, and they're still having the highest turnout. So in the face of adversity, in the face of blatant disenfranchisement, people are still engaged. I think that speaks more of the system and not the people that it's trying to oppress. Because where there's a will, there's a way, and people are going to find a way to get to the polls, right? But imagine if the system didn't have to bottleneck those ways, right? Imagine if the system made all the ways possible. We would have, on average, in our down ballot races and our runoff elections, that same 64% that Wisconsin or whatever's the other state you mentioned had.
Yeah, I mentioned Wisconsin and Minnesota.
Minnesota.
In Colorado. Now, let me ask you one other final question here from me. Greene County, at least the impression I'm getting, and I will admit I haven't done a deep dive on this, but Greene County appears to be an anomaly in the Black Belt. Is that your understanding also, that Greene County is an anomaly in the Black Belt? And if that is the case, I have to ask myself why, considering that in other counties like Lowndes County and Marion County, there is also a strong history of disenfranchisement. Perry County, disenfranchised voters with a real visceral understanding of the sacrifice that was made by people like John Lewis and Jimmy Lee Jackson and Viola Liuzzo and others to make sure that folks in those areas had the right to vote.
I think for the particular cycle we're talking about, Greene County is an anomaly. And dare I say, each county in the Black Belt takes their own turn on being an anomaly, and infrastructure plays a very big role in that.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something you're not saying. Are you talking around something? Is there something that you're trying to say that you're not saying?
I don't want to finger wag, right? Because, like I said, there's so many systems of oppression at play, but we can't expect people that don't have good roads, that don't have probably gas money, because gas is almost $4 a gallon, that probably work in a neighboring county, have to drive 25 minutes to the county that they live in. We can't expect them to vote 3 times in a 6 month to 9 month span. That's an uphill battle. We just had people vote in a primary in May. We have a runoff in June, a special primary in August, and then a general in November. I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand how we're expecting that to be conducive to democracy and encourage civic participation. Because it's like, it's never ending, and we're not providing people, and by we, I mean even the social justice collective sometimes, we're not providing people with adequate information, but that's also because the system keeps changing the rules. The system keeps changing the players, the rules of the game, how we're going to go about this, and we're getting these last minute decisions, and we have to last minute educate and last minute mobilize. That's not fair. It's unjust.
No, you're 100% right. It is unjust. It's also, we're not looking for, the democratic way. We're not looking for participation, really. I know what John Merrill used to say a lot about, he wants everybody to vote and all this kind of stuff. But, the actions would speak louder than words in a lot of cases. We don't want everybody to vote. If we wanted everybody to vote, I mean, the guy that is running our Secretary of State right now, who, bless his heart, is, I guess, going to have to go get a job working a drive-through somewhere because he's not qualified to do anything else at this point. And he just lost the lieutenant governor's race. He made an ad bragging about how he killed curbside voting, which, I mean, the only thing it did was help handicapped people vote. I mean, it made it seem like there was, a run on illegal voting if we allowed somebody to move 100 yards from the building to the curbside, to allow this process to take place with the same people in charge, the same exact machinery, the same ballots, everything. But if we took it to the car, God forbid, and made it easier for the people, it's so stupid what we do and how we, not to mention the fact that we've got, just one day on a Tuesday to go and vote out there. And if you can't make it on that day, or if it's storming or it's raining or your kid gets sick or you got to work overtime, you got a big project due. Oh, well, tough luck, guys. I mean, we're not encouraging voting. We're encouraging voting from a certain group of people because we know we can count on that certain group of people. And I know you're a 501c3. And so we'll just say that certain group of people vote a certain way. And we want that group of people to continue voting that certain way. And we want this other group of people over here to have as many problems as possible getting to the polls. And if we had introduced the same problems to this other group of people, the outrage over this would be so severe and untenable that there would be soft pudding thrown at every meat and three in this state. Okay.
Yes, I agree.
And literally, I mean, that's just the way it is. And so what is there, what often this is just me and I feel like I'm like a lot of people. Okay. If you tell me I can't do something that I'm supposed to be able to do, holy shit, am I going to try to do that? I am going to break a leg trying to do this thing that you tell me I can't do. So is there, given what's happened with the Supreme Court, is there a way to utilize that and put it in front of people and say, they're trying to stop you? They're trying to stop you from doing this. Is that a motivation for a lot of people?
Oh, yeah. Something that I say often, like internally, is that doing this work out of rage is very draining, and we have to find another source of energy. We have to alchemize. But I'm just so pissed off. Like, a lot of people are just pissed off. And yes. I we have to validate that. Like, you should be pissed off that they are literally trying to take this away from you. And when you talk to the folks that are living in the 2nd Congressional District, and they fought hard with Allen v. Milligan to get that 2nd Congressional District, people are pissed.
Mm-hmm.
People are pissed because the plaintiffs for that case are their neighbors. These are the people that I'm in community with. This is someone that I go and I play spades with. This is someone that I see in my grocery store, that everyday Alabamian went all the way up to the Supreme Court to make sure that we were counted, not them, to make sure that we were counted and that our vote was not diluted. And in a single week, in a case from Louisiana, after our fate had already been determined, they snatched it away. They took 3 years of litigation and pissed it away.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, you're right, 100%, and that's I think that's a great motivation. Tell me before we let you go. Let me tell me about the Advocacy Institute.
Yes.
What that's all about.
I'd love to. So the Alabama State Office has launched its second cohort of the Advocacy Institute. And all it really is we're bringing in people that are advocates in their community, and they have plans for their communities, for civic engagement, for poverty eradication. And they just need a little bit more tools, or adding more tools to their toolbox, right? So they just need a better understanding of systemic racism, right? Relational racism is one thing, but understanding how people are creating systems to oppress your community, it adds a layer into your advocacy. We're teaching people how to resist these systems that are essentially trying to kill us, one group at a time. If it's not physically, it's our spirits. If it's not our spirits, it's our mentals. If it's not our mentals, it's our emotions, right? We're teaching people how to be stronger advocates and to build networks across the state. Imagine if advocates in North Alabama knew what the advocates in South Alabama were doing, and we convened them and they talked about their issues. That's a lot of cross collaboration. That's a lot of inspiration, right? Like we're adding to that vehicle so we all can know how to be catalysts in our respective communities, and that's what the Advocacy Institute is all about. So we just launched the second cohort this past weekend, and we'll be doing this all the way up until August, and hopefully we'll have another cohort next summer. So everybody is encouraged to apply. You have to be an Alabama resident. We are going to check your zip code. We are going to check your zip code, and this is just the SPLC way of us really getting more deeply ingrained into community. And we're not trying to recreate the wheel, right? We're just trying to add oil to the gears and keep these machines that are community centered and community powered going.
Yeah. Well, listen, we thank you for what you're doing, and look, maintain that anger as long as you can. Maintain that rage as much as possible. All right. I mean, it's and pass it along to some people, because it's a good anger. It's John Lewis said it was good trouble, but listen, good anger goes a long way too. All right.
Hey, I think
anger.
I was going to say, I think it was James Baldwin who said that if you're black in America and if you're not angry, something is wrong with you. And I think these days that doesn't just apply to black people. It applies to women. It applies to LGBTQ people. It applies to white people who see the need for social justice. There are plenty of valid reasons, Makhayla, to be pissed.
I agree. I hold that in my heart.
All right. Well, listen, Makhayla, thank you for the work you do. We'll get some people sent your way. Hopefully, so the Advocacy Institute will be a tremendous success, and all of the efforts that y'all put forth here, y'all know they're going to be worthwhile, and hopefully they'll lead to a lot of change and a lot of good come November, and that just be the start of it. Just start us rolling downhill, and we pick up speed as we go. So, but thank you so much. Thanks to you and the SPLC for everything you do. We really do appreciate you.
Thank y'all so much.
Take care.
All right. That is Makhayla DesRosiers from the SPLC, and we will be back in a minute. Alabama Politics This Week. Back in a moment.